The distinguishing factor between a good player and a bad player is their level of game sense. What exactly is game sense? It's a term that we all hear and it's something that we all like to improve on. But what really is it? In my opinion, it is your ability to predict and deduce certain outcomes based on your level of understanding of the game. It is any unconscious effort that is made within the game. And another term for that would be instinct. And in order for your game sense to become unconscious or instinctive, you must make conscious efforts of improvement along the way. And that's exactly what this video is set up to do. I'm going to show you how anybody can improve their game sense by granting you entry into my mind as I play the game. I hope to convey to you guys the intricate processes that occur within my mind when it comes to my macro and micro understanding of the game. And I hope that once you finish this video, you'll be able to pick up on certain things that I do and the reasonings for it, pretty much things that you may have not been aware of before, and then integrate it into your own gameplay. Those are the conscious efforts that I'm talking about. I'm going to make you aware of things that you are unaware of so that you can implement them into your own gameplay, making those conscious efforts to improve your game sense, to a level where you no longer have to think about it. Remember my philosophy, guys. Always growth mindset, never fixed mindset. Without further ado, let's get it. Bam 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 bam. My first question to you guys is, what are things that you think you can improve on? Go ahead and answer that in the comments. I want you guys to interact with one another as well to hopefully learn from one another. Now let's quickly go back to this first fight. I always recommend that you take a 50-50 challenge off rip when the game begins. When doing so, make sure to land on the same side of that POI as a unit. Naturally, the enemy will recognize this and land on the opposite side of that same POI. And sometimes they might land directly on you. Thankfully, that didn't happen this game. I get sniped right here for all my shields, so I rotate back to armor swap. And at that same time, my teammate gets a beautiful entry knock. It is now a 3v2 situation. It's now time to collapse back onto my teammates and get very aggressive against this team. As a solo queuer, I have to be the one that takes initiative here. And that's to prevent the enemy team from resetting. So I enter the building immediately, utilizing the cover to my right. I do some damage first before I push to ensure that there's no way in hell that we're losing this fight. And then from there, it's a 3v1 and we finish a fight. There was no time wasted. This is a beautiful textbook fight off rip. Now I also want to communicate with you guys why I wrapped around back towards my team instead of flanking the enemy team right here. If I push from their door sides, I give them an opportunity to have two guns onto me at once. Not every flank is a good flank. If I do that and I get knocked, then I make a very easy fight turn difficult. And a flank like that is okay if you're playing with a team that you can communicate with. But because I'm solo queuing, my instincts told me it would be best if I rotate back to my team so we could all push from the same side as a unit. Again, no time wasted. We have KP now, so we don't have to force unnecessary fights later in the game. Once we looted up Lava City, we then made our way towards the next circle. And as I do so, I'm always looking for fights to take on the perimeter of the ring. That's because the likelihood of being third party from storm side is slim to none. You always have to expect it because it is a BR, but theoretically, it typically shouldn't happen. And that's exactly what we do right here. We found a fight at the edge of ring that we could take, so we took it. My teammates know that I'm not with them, so they're holding an angle until I catch up with them. I land short because my teammates were backing up, and as they push up, I push up. I immediately take this position to the right because it provides me cover and it opens up an angle on the enemy. That's something you should always be looking for. Positions that give you the advantage. Both of my teammates' shields are cracked, so I held here and waited for an opportunity to get a knock. At that same time, the enemy wraith gets cracked. She stays put because she knows my teammates on the low ground won't have an angle on her, but I did, and I'm able to get her knocked. That was a huge mistake on her part. She should have phased out and went back to her team. And once again, once you get that knock, it's time to get aggressive, and that's exactly what we do here as a team. But as I aggress this team, I notice that nobody on my team has full shield, and so I bubble out and I pop a battery so we could push this team as healthy as possible. This is to ensure that nobody gets knocked on our team. They're both on high ground now, and nobody on my team can take height, so I rush over to the horizon cube before it ends so I can get them off that height. In doing so, I restored the advantage on our team in this fight. From there, we kill them both, no time wasted, nobody gets knocked. Beautiful execution. Because nobody on our team could take height, if I let that team stay up on high ground, whether any of us gets knocked or not, it only drags the fight out longer and opens up the opportunity of a third party. In a 3v2 like this, you always want to make sure that nobody gets knocked. Because you have strength in numbers, you'll probably still win the fight, but if you get knocked and a third party comes, the chances of you winning that are slim to none. This is why we took a second to all heal up as a unit, simply to avoid getting knocked. We still would have won this fight, but if I get knocked here, then it makes us more vulnerable to an impending third party. Stop getting knocked in 3v2 or 3v1 situations. We then make our rotations to the next circle, remaining on or around the perimeter of the circle. We checked left here and we saw that nobody's there. I also remember that the team that we just fought came from the right side of us. Because we killed that team and nobody third partied us, and we rotated left and saw that nobody was there, I assumed that there's no team in this area, and I deemed this fight a safe fight to take. And so we take it. That's a pred level tip right there. Although we have 6 KP and we're in a very comfortable position, with this rank system, it's always best to get as many kills as possible. Because I did my due diligence, we're able to take this fight, safe from a third party. I get arc starred and ulted out of that room and immediately run to the right, which is the area that the castle just vacated. I know that I need to hold this position on the right side to prevent the enemy team from pushing this angle, thus pinching us inside of that building, which would now give that team an advantage. I end up knocking the bang and I got cracked, so I immediately bubble out and pop a battery. No time wasted. As soon as I heal up, I play off of my Bloodhound scans and we finish this team off. Here's another pred level tip. As soon as we finish, I immediately check my flank side because my instincts deemed that to be my biggest threat. Now a team could push us from the right side here, but because I have audio and visual of everything going on to the right of me, I can tell that nobody's pushing us from that side. Now I need to check this left side while my teammates heal up. There's a big pillar in front of me and there's a whole building that they could be hiding in, so I cross my T's and dot my I's and make sure that nobody's pushing this flank side. Once I ensure that nobody's pushing, then it's time to loot. That's always a sequence of events that you should follow after finishing a fight. Check for a third party, sometimes while healing up, and then loot. Never finish a fight and immediately loot until you've checked your flank for a third party. Once again, we rotate again towards the next circle, but on the perimeter of the circle. This is to ensure that no enemy team will be pushing us from our backside. Imagine if we rotate straight to the center of the circle and we don't clear out our backside. That means we'd have teams in front of us and now behind us, and now we're pinched. And when it comes to endgame, if you're pinched in between 2 teams, you're probably dead. So we clear out this backside and we find that there's a team here. Now, I know in my mind this is a fight we have to take. If we don't and we rotate into circle, there's a possibility that we end up getting pinched in between 2 teams and we die. So we do what we can to eliminate this threat and have an easy, smooth rotation into this side of the circle where no enemy team is. It's just us here. They threw down a Catalyst ult and a Maggie ult. This was a huge waste on their part because they didn't capitalize off of it. So I rotate to the right to get an angle on this team. And although this is a fight that I deemed that we must take, I also have to be wary of a team coming from the further right side to third party us. I haven't done my due diligence over there, so I don't know what's going on the far right side of the circle. I have to assume that there's a team there, and that means we're going to get third partied. So I don't venture off too far into the unknown. Now there's still a team in front of me in the RV. But where I'm at right now, I'm being shot at from afar in my back. And at that time, my castle gets very weak to a completely different team. We all overextended a bit too much, and now we're pinched. So we must rotate back down underneath this team of the RV. It's not the most ideal situation, but we have no choice. If we stay where we were, we get angled out by 2 teams and we die. So we worked ourselves outside of that pinch. Now we have a team above us and I'm aware of that, but that's not a fight that we could even try to take. So now my priority is getting our way back into circle, into a spot that I know that's free. In order to do that, I know I'm going to have to ult this team above me to distract them, bubble out halfway to prevent taking damage from that team up top, and have a semi-smooth rotation into the circle. Instead of looking behind to try to get shots onto this team, I'm going straight to the side of the circle that nobody's at to establish my dominance in space here. By doing that, that means no team can just freely walk into this area. Our presence alone here and taking up this space means that nobody should push us. And although we're in circle perfectly fine with nobody here, we still have 2 teams behind us. Those 2 teams now have to fight each other. That means eventually at least one team is going to have to rotate right towards us. Remember what I said, when it comes to endgame, the best position for you to be in is in the side of that circle that nobody's on. So we need both of these 2 teams dead before they have to forcefully rotate onto us. My teammate says they're now sending each other, so now it's time to vacate where we're at and try to third party this team. Yeah, there could be a team that takes our spot, but that's not a guarantee, and I'd much rather eliminate these 2 teams to hopefully give us this whole side of the circle to ourselves, as opposed to sitting where we were at, letting at least one of these teams rotate into us and forcing a fight, and potentially, again, pinching us between 2 other teams. So as we third party, the teams finish this fight. Now there's 1 team left, and I'm still assuming that it's a full 3 stack. Come to find out, it's only a duo. But I push every fight assuming that it's 3 people up. Now I do get 1 cracked, but because they finish the fight, I know that there's death boxes there that they can armor swap on. At the same time, my teammate gets cracked, so I hold an angle for him as he heals up. I fry the seer to low health and restore the advantage back onto our team. The duo's in a horrible position, so we take up more space and finish them off with no time wasted. Now we get extra KP and we have a free walk into this side of the circle. We have now eliminated all threats behind us, and we can rotate again freely by ourselves with nobody here. That's how you want to work these endgame scenarios. But like I said, you always have to expect the unexpected. I'm confident that nobody took our spot, but I still approach the side of the circle as if somebody takes our spot. Thankfully, nobody did, so now again, we have this whole side to ourselves. We don't have to worry about watching our back because Storm's on that side, and we get to keep our attention in front of us at all times now. I noticed 2 teams fighting to the left of us outside of circle. Based on where the circle's at and our positioning within the circle, example, if I don't take up space here, this team is going to rotate straight into us and force a fight that I don't want. So, just like I said, to prevent that, I take up space. I now force this team to go to the right side instead of straight towards us. Only I needed to do that, not all three of us. One of us needs to hold that position where we were, so I immediately go back. This is to prevent the team that's in front of us in the tunnel from rotating towards us, taking our spot, and again, forcing a fight I don't want. Look how much uncontested real estate we have, and on top of that, we have circle again. So all we do right now is just hold and make sure this team in the tunnel doesn't try to aggress us. That right there is my first threat, because you'll eventually see this team try to walk out of that staircase and make their way towards us multiple times. That's because eventually they have to rotate this way for next circle. I'm not going to let them do that. I control things around here. But as I move up, I'm still aware of the team to the left of me. And that team to the left of me could easily rotate towards us and force a fight as well, which is what they try to do. So I heal up and go back towards my castle to hold that angle with him, and I have the Bloodhound holding that right side. The Bloodhound's job right there is just to prevent that team from pushing us from the tunnel. He doesn't have to 1v3 him, but all he has to do is establish presence so that a team knows that we're watching that. In the endgame like this, the presence of one person is enough to make sure that teams don't push that area. That's the importance of taking up space. Teams have to respect the person holding down an angle like that. Right now, I'm telling my teammate to make sure that he ults right in the center of these bins later in the game. Now, we can't hold everything all the time. I now deem that it's okay to have this team from the tunnel push this RV. That's why I tell my castle to ult in the center right there to give us more protection, assuming that the team from the tunnel does rotate into this cart that I'm in. I'm okay with that because the team to the left of us is outside of circle and is going to have to force their way in somehow. I want all of our eyes on them. But before I push the team on the left, I notice that the team from the tunnel is now on high ground fighting the team in front of me. So I do what I can to try and grief these teams while my other two teams watch left. Notice how I'm not overextending though. Nothing came from that play, so now I rotate back to the left with my castle and I communicate that with him. I told my teammates, Bloodhound, hold this cart by yourself, while me and the castle push this team that's not even looking at us. They gave us so much space because they have to. They didn't rotate as well as we did, and they're pinched in between the entire lobby right now. They gave us an opening, and so I took it. Get a knock on one of those guys right there. Now that's a broken team. They're in shambles. Immediately go right back to my Bloodhound on the right side and make sure that nobody's pushing that side. The Bloodhound knocks somebody on the right side, so that provides me some time to go back to the team to the left with my new castle and finish them off. Get another knock, so now there's only one person there. She phases out, but I'm cracked, but my new castle is fully healthy. My Bloodhound says that there's a team pushing on the right side now, so I have my new castle hold where he's at, and I listen to my teammates' comms, and I go support the Bloodhound now. There's a solo by himself up top, and the last team is a full 3-stack underneath. The 3-stack is obviously our immediate threat, and so I'm working on angles to get them knocked. At that same time, my Bloodhound actually gets a knock on this team underneath. Now it's a 3v2v1. So once he got that knock, it's time to get them out of the game and focus our attention on the last solo. And eventually we do exactly that. We kill the last full 3-stack, turn our attention onto the solo, and win the game. Now imagine we had our attention on the solo first before we fought that 3-stack. That would have given a lot of time for that 3-stack to fully heal, reset, do what they have to do, and potentially shoot one of us in our back while we fight that solo. If I go and fight the solo right there, my two teammates could watch the team underneath, but because I'm off killing the solo, I put my teammates in a 2v3 situation momentarily. Apex is a numbers game. The team with more guns probably wins that fight. So instead of allowing that 3-stack to push us while at least one of us on my team is distracted fighting that solo, I deemed that it would be best to take a 3v3 with that team underneath, giving them no time to heal or reset while their back's against the storm and they have nowhere to run. Wipe them, and then kill the last solo who's definitely not going to 1v3 us. We executed it perfectly and took a fat plus 500 in pred lobbies as a diamond. And like I said at the beginning of this video, by giving you guys an inside look as to what goes on in my mind when I'm playing this game, I hope to have taught you guys things that you did not already know. Therefore, any key concepts, tips, advice, strategies that I've given you guys can now go take that and implement it into your own gameplay. Make those conscious efforts to improving your overall game sense, and through practice and repetition, hopefully build up that game sense to a point where it becomes instinctive, just like it is for me. Damn, I'm good, bruh. I hope you guys have learned something. Thank you guys all for the support. If you haven't already, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And best of luck to you guys. I'll see you guys next time. Bam, ba, bam, bam, bam. Bam, ba, bam, 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 ba, 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 bam, bam, ba, bam, bam, bam. Bam, ba, bam, 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 ba, ba, bam, 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 bam. Bam, ba, bam, 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 ba, ba, bam.